Hey yo, what's up guys? And today we've got a video coming to you with your boy Rittzy. So he is a PvP specific content creator for New World. He does everything from build guides to war content, some strategy stuff, as well as just having fun in the game with his personality, shining through all of it. He actually plays on the OCE server, so he has a very different experience than I do with the game itself for launch as well as future content. So we talk through that in this video. But make sure to go check him out on the screen now. He's a great dude, always hilarious to talk to, and had a great time in this video making it with him. If you do enjoy the content that I've been creating for New World, make sure to go like and subscribe. I know that I haven't been putting out a lot of videos since launch. There's just been so much going on that we talk about in this video that has been putting off both of our channels. So now with this stuff all out of the way, we're gonna start making content and get things out the door as fast as possible. Appreciate you guys. Let's jump into the talk with Rittzy right now.
Let's get it going then, I guess. Okay, so yeah, what is your experience over the last month with New World? Is it a good one? Is it a bad one? Where you at with that?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it's overall all good. I kind of got caught into this game in like the May alpha. So I played a crap ton. I think I've got in total with that maybe 1,200 hours into it.
Jesus. So you played before when it was full scale PvP, drop everything and all that sort of stuff?
Not directly. So I think it was this year May is when I jumped in. Like I saw the stuff. Like I first saw this game with I think it was Summit. He was doing PvP. Like was it a year or two ago? I forget how long it was. But yeah, after seeing that, I was like, okay, this one looks a little interesting. Signed up for the alpha and just didn't check my email until May. And I was like, oh shit, I got in. I should probably check this game out.
Yeah.
And ever since then, dude, I've just been hooked. It's so good. Outside of that, like we've had a few issues with just like server stuff, you know, like any launch with an MMO, you always have an issue.
It's crazy.
Like our first company that we were part of, we found them in open beta on Eldorado, and then kind of split ways just because we got split. Like we're on Real Aro now.
Yeah. And
they stayed on Eldorado. So, you know, no bad feelings between. It was just like we had just two different cultures and we wanted to kind of break off, and we had a group of people that helped us out, and you know, we're doing really well. We got a company of about 100 now. I'm helping out lead a bunch of like the end zone stuff. Like we've done Lazarus, Genesis, every single zone, bunch of PvP, had a few wars. But yeah.
Overall, how was your experience with the wars? Because I know that at my company, because I'm quite high up in that as well, and kind of leading a couple of things in there as well. We've had some really horrible experiences because we have a known exploiting company on our server with about 300 to 400 members plus, but their main group's around 60, 70 of them, and they were using the Entomb glitch at one stage, they were using the Ice Storm lag glitch at some stage. Like, it was just impossible, and because we were advocating not to use any sort of exploits, we were at a huge disadvantage on the war side. So I think definitely they've fixed a bit of the lag issue in wars, which is fantastic. I think that's a step in the right direction, but with exploits and stuff, they just keep finding different things. They keep trying to like get different stuff, and it's very strange things that they come up with. Hatchet bug's gone now, which is good. Entomb bug's gone now, which is good. But yeah, it's been a crazy launch. It's been a very crazy launch, like very up and down, like all these things going on.
Right. Yeah, and I mean we've had a similar instance in a few cases. Kind of fortunately, our side is primarily green. So we're Marauders, and we have Templar is the big company on our server. They have about 500 in total. We started out as like a low medium pop, and then as time has gone along, like with the server transfers and stuff,
everything,
people dipped, and you know, we're like a high low pop. So it's going well right now. There's only a few purple companies that have stuck around, and they, you know, we have so many 60s and like close to 600 gear score that they did in the last war have to use the hatchet bug. it was funny because like we had like every single war, we try to do it very organized, you know, like an hour before everyone gets in the room, we get the strat, we have, you know, people talking through it. This is who the call outs are, all this shit. And we get out onto the battlefield, like we're defending, right? Our guy does this huge speech and then we jump in, and literally every point just steamrolled, every door open. This is at like 5 minutes in, 25 minutes. We hold the fort for 25 minutes.
Yo, that is legendary.
No hatchets, like legit. I have it all recorded. I just need to cut it together. It's so crazy.
That's actually crazy.
It's so crazy.
That is cool.
But yeah. But other than that, it's been, you know, really chill. Kind of our plans going forward are just to, you know, grind out, get a bunch of materials, you know, look forward to the server transfer.
Yeah.
Because it's gonna be, day one is just gonna be a gold sink.
Yeah.
As much as you could buy, just buy it all.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's exactly what kind of like that big company did on our side. Like, they exploited to get Windsward, Everfall, and Monarchs, which are all like the best places to have, really. And then use all that gold to just like insta buy things off the market that are like best in slot stuff, and like they're all just decked out now, and like it's just crazy.
And just corner the market.
Oh yeah. But now, since all these like sort of changes are coming in and the exploits are going away, they're having to rely more on strategy and less on exploiting the game. So it's starting to become easier and easier to be able to fight against these guys, which is really nice, because them and one other company are like probably our only competition. Everyone else is pretty like average or very casual companies that just go in, have no kind of strategy to war. They'll just go in and like try and win, and that just doesn't work. But moving forward, like, how are you thinking about the dungeon experience? Are you liking that they're going to be changing these material costs coming down? Because it is absolutely ridiculous to get those corrupted stones at the moment. So have you found it difficult, or have you guys just been farming it out? Like, what have you been doing?
Honestly, we haven't done a ton. I'll say maybe like 10 in total. We've just done the the story mission to get 2 on each person, and then as people get up there, we're like,
you run them with the company. That's kind of what we did. We saved it as well.
Right. And we've got 2 static groups going. So myself and 5 other dudes, or well, it'd be 9 other dudes, are kind of just like doing a bunch of PvE content, helping people out, you know, kind of shepherding them through it. I think one of the things that I was hoping to see that I found out.
There's a doggy right there. Sorry. There's a little doggy. What's up? What's up?
Ooh, she wants all the attention.
She's cute as. Look, and so happy. Look, very proud to be on the podcast. You know. Yes. Look at you. Beautiful. Anyways, you were saying.
She never leaves me alone, dude.
That's good. That's good. I mean, it keeps you in line.
So yeah, exactly. That and the kid and the wife. Yeah, I need someone to look out for me.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we've done about 10, like I was saying. One of the things, as I was saying, the mechanic in, is it Starstone? Yeah. So we found out in open beta.
Yep.
I've got a video on my channel about this, but the eye on the last boss, you can actually stun it and break the jump phase.
Yeah.
So whenever you shoot it with a projectile, that's what breaks it, right? And I think a bunch of people have seen it now.
Yeah.
But going forward, like, I haven't seen anything like that. It's just been stamina bars that break a phase or a knockdown where it just turns into a burn, right? But there's no, like, you know, secret way that anyone's found yet, or that we know of, that kind of breaks the phases outside of what we usually see in just a regular elite zone. Yeah. So that's one of the things that I thought they were going to do, especially finding that in open beta. I was like, okay, sick. You know, Thorpe's going to have one. Maybe the last boss and Dynasty is going to have one. Or, you know, like continuing the cycle, since this game kind of builds off itself. Yeah. But I haven't seen that yet. So, on my opinion, like, we need to have at least a 10-man, you know, raid or something to make it interesting.
I definitely think it should move forward. I think I spoke to a couple of people in my podcast earlier about just saying like maybe even just adding in some sort of random sort of hard mode dungeons later on, because the content at the moment at the end game, as you may see, is quite bare bones, and we all knew that. We all knew that coming in, so it's not brand new news to us. And people that are complaining about it now, I'm like, well, dude, you knew this, like coming into the game. Once there's really not much there, and Outpost Rush coming back out definitely brought an influx back to the game, which was fantastic. But now that dungeons are kind of unplayable, no one's really doing them. Even on my server, because I'm on Utopia, so one of the most popular servers in OCE, and we still don't have much going on in the ways of dungeons. Like Outpost Rush and Wars are really all that we're doing. And it's just not enough. It's not keeping the PvE guys happy either, because some people strictly PvE don't want to do Outpost Rush, and I'm like, that's fair enough. So they've really got nothing to do right now. But I'm definitely looking forward to them changing that and having a bit more activity in dungeons because of how the watermark system works. How do you find the watermark system? Do you think that's a good system? Do you think that's a bad system? Because I find it very strange. It's never been done before, I don't think. Not in any game that I've played anyway.
Yeah, I mean, it's very reminiscent. I played a bunch of Destiny 2. Like, it's very reminiscent of that.
Is that sort of the same system with Destiny?
A little bit. Yeah, you grind out gear, and as you grind out gear, you get
higher and higher.
Higher level.
Yeah.
The one thing that they did not do that Destiny did was that in raids, you have like a lowest level that you can get, right? And then as you do that, you get higher level stuff. Yeah. And you have a chance to get whatever the max level is at that time. Yeah. I think the issue at the moment is that it's, so open that I think that's why they're going into the boost that they just announced, where it's going up to 620.
620, yeah. And I did see that. That's a little bit of that.
I feel like if they just keep that for dungeons, it'll make PvE content a lot better.
Yeah.
I think in general for the watermark, it's too much. It's too much space between 500 and 600. And I don't think the continuous just grind of a single
the way of getting it is the way of getting it is very questionable. You just sit there, you camp a boss. Like, I guess that's not how they intended it to be, but because people are very smart and they figure these things out very quickly in games, they're like, okay, well, we can manipulate it and get it done quicker by doing said thing. And I don't think they accounted for that, because I think if we didn't know watermark existed, right, we would just we would be doing the dungeons thinking that that's the best way to go, and doing the world bosses just casually when we need to, because we know we get a chance of said thing. But because people have kind of, I know it wasn't a data mine thing, but there's data miners out there. There's people that like really research this stuff and go, okay, well, I'm getting better results from this, so I'm going to do that. And then, so it's kind of really, really grindy in that sense. And I don't mind it being grindy, but I don't think they intended for us to actually grind our watermark that way. And I think just with tiny changes, they can kind of stop that from being how it is and move it on to being more progression-wise. Like, okay, you need to do this event or this thing to be able to progress your watermark. Even if it was progressing watermark just through Outpost Rush, Wars, and dungeons, and then outside it was like you can progress, but it's a lot slower. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I think another thing to that too is perks. Like, why aren't perks tied to specific things, right? Like, why isn't
perk specifically? What? Like just
resilient?
Skill?
I mean, you can go to Genesis right now.
Yep.
I think it was the first round. They were obviously like 500 base because we were getting them from the chest, and those are screwy at the moment. But I got like 8 pieces with resilient. Like 8. Yeah,
because Genesis also drops right off the bat crafting material you need for resilience as well.
Exactly.
Even though resilience got nerfed and it's kind of at the moment.
Right.
But yeah.
But like, okay, so that's good and all, but it's a PvE content thing. So why isn't there perks that are reliant on the PvE experience in those things? And why isn't, Outpost the one place that you could be like, okay, you could have 1% chance to get resilient gear or something that,
yeah,
you know,
like have more of a
back
chance in its field. You know, is that what you're saying?
Exactly.
Like in its genre. And I think, but the thing is, with this game, like Resilient has a purpose. Like Void Armor now is still very, very viable, but mainly for tanks now because of the CC stuff. Like it reduces CC stuns and all that stuff, and then it reduces obviously crit damage as well, which is really good for tanks. But like, yeah. So I mean, it's kind of niche. It depends on the perk that you're talking about, but there should be. I agree with you. I think there should be more of a chance in certain areas, so then you go to those areas. But at the moment, it's a bit scuffed. It's like, it's in a dungeon, and it's like, okay, that's great, that's great, but what use does it have for me, like as a PvE?
And I think a lot of the materials, I don't know if all of, like I go into NWDB every now and again, and I check kind of like the main bosses to see if they've updated anything. A lot of them are still unlinked, which I think is kind of interesting.
What do you mean?
Whether it be, so it's like, you know, this mob in the world drops this X thing. It's like the data mine that they did apparently was not accurate enough to grab the actual drop.
So there's no like set loot table,
iteration.
You mean?
Yeah. Like some of them are really good.
Yeah.
Some of them are really good and they have the location and everything. And then some of the other ones you kind of have to dig and find.
Yeah.
But at the same time, we'll see like what happens with this next update too. You know, like they're unlocking a lot of the content that we've been waiting on. Counterbalance, you know, like all the crafters finally. Like,
they're gonna get the legendary things. That's why I've been hoarding all the little stuff that you can get now, because those things are gonna be really sought after, because now they got that last thing that they can finally get for the Ice Gauntlet, I think, Fire Staff. Like there's a bunch of things, like every single legendary recipe you cannot make right now, which is absolutely stupid. It shouldn't have even been in the game if you weren't able to get the pieces. Like they should have just said, oh, at the moment we're going to be releasing legendaries later, once those materials are able to be obtained, because there's one in every single one that you can't receive. So yeah, but I think that's definitely a big opportunity for money making if you want to get some money. Buy all those little things like the mace thing, the scepter thing. There's like a broken musket piece,
the scaling powder.
All that stuff is going to skyrocket in that time. So I've definitely been hoarding away some of that stuff with the gold that I received. But yeah, no, I definitely think that's good. Void Gauntlet coming soon as well, which is fantastic. Well, we might as well go on to that actually, because I don't know too much about it, but you've had a lot more experience than I have with it. So how do you feel that sits, and how do you feel that slots into what's going on right now and how it will affect the meta?
Yeah. I think for my testing, it was primarily like a day. So like first impressions, I think it's a great add just in general to a life staff build. You know, it's kind of the only one that fits very well with it, I would say, outside of just using an amber and something else, you know. It obviously scales with focus and intellect, so you can run it with like a fire staff.
You could run it with,
Right. I think the main thing that I found was a lot of people were using the Void Blade instead of just using it as a ranged weapon. So getting up close, putting down the AoE that reduces healing plus
but I think
empower
10%?
It empowers you too,
something like
or
that,
something like that.
I've seen one of my company members talking about it, so
it has a lot of good potential for it to be, you know, one of the better weapons on the table. I think the lifesteal, I didn't get to test enough of it, but as far as the ranged build that I was doing, it wasn't the best, I would say.
So it would be more for like a skirmishy thing. Would you consider running like a melee weapon with it in wars as like some sort of utility? Still run like strength, but would that make it too bad? Or is it a good like peeling weapon? Like what can it, is there anything that can help in that department?
I think the gear is going to be interesting for paladin builds.
It'll be like int focus stuff.
Right, exactly. Whether it be in focus or they just skip life staff and they're more of a debuff, kind of like shadow tank-esque.
Like a happy medium sort of thing between
exactly.
a paladin
so like
and...
Right. Worrying about, lifesteal a bunch with the actual gauntlet.
Yeah.
But also having a melee. Like, I feel like that might be super powerful for holding a flag. Like just running into that and then getting the debuffs and then empowering your whole entire team. Like, it stays up for a decent amount of time.
And dropping that sort of 10% reduction on heals, if it can stack with, which we don't know yet, but if it can stack with the hatchet's heal debuff, that would be huge for like coordinating bombs on your target, coordinating like big damage. Like, it's going to be really nice, and it's going to be good because then it's like every 30 seconds you're like, all right, we got to be careful of when they use this stuff and coordinate more in wars. It just means that there's more management having to be done in wars, which I think is good, because at the moment there's not much to it.
Yeah.
Just rotate points, like for defense anyway, you're just rotating points depending on what they do. And then when you're on attack, it's basically just full force somewhere and try and get a little flank team going. Like, there's not much crazy intricacies to war at the moment.
Yeah. One of the things with war that I've seen a lot, I think, so AoEs at the moment, especially with bow, I've had such a hard time with landing like a rain of arrows on top of a wall. I wish that they would go into
the clipping, you mean, for the little AoE?
Oh, it's so
it's
bad.
hard. It's hard.
I wish that they would just do it on like a very, base level map, so that you don't have all the intricacy of like a post or something in the way that is not.
Or let it snap lock to the levels. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
And just hold there for a bit before it lets go, which would be fine, which most games do. It'll be like bottom, then it will like clip to the edge. If you can see it properly, obviously you need to have that flat surface, but if you can get it on an angle like you used to in other games, then you would be able to then drop it there. That would help a lot with like people staying on the fort walls, because all you can really do about them now is either muskets or get a mage to go right underneath them and just like poke them.
Exactly, which even that isn't very consistent. So like the reason I bring it up is we had, there's usually a few teams, there's like two groups in a war that try to flank or try to get up to the walls, right? If you're defending. And if it was a better way to, AoE, like put an ice storm on a turret, like more than just, missing most of the time with it, I think that would make attacking a little bit easier, but also, more interesting.
Yeah,
outside of just like taking a turret against a turret, or I don't know, rain of arrows, or like just keeping a turret, at bay with range. I think getting up close, trying to flank, is always an interesting idea for something like that.
Well, definitely at the moment, siege in wars is lacking. Like, it doesn't do anywhere near as much damage as a player would. The main thing that we use is cannons, because it just it knocks people back as well, the knockback one. But I mean, Siege team went from being 10 to 15 players in the early levels, and then at 60, it kind of lost value because the amount of damage it does is not even close to like what a player could do. So we just use the disruption, so then they can push them off our spawns or push them off the flag. Like, that's about we got 3 people on the siege team.
Really?
We don't need maybe for the initial push we might go, all right, 5 people pick up some siege if we're doing an attack and try and get it all on point, just to be really annoying. But other than that, it's really bare bones. Most people are not really using siege. They're using a lot more war horns because of the defensive buff. That's on defense anyway. And being just cycling those and then disrupting with cannon, cycling those, and one guy can do that. So you can just run around. 2 guys can be on cannons, one guy just going around. Once the horn debuff draws off, go to the next one. Or when you see them going for a big attack, do the war horn and away you go.
Right. Well, and it sounds like, I mean, your guys' experience, especially on a bigger server, probably has had, more experience with that.
Yeah.
On our side, it's like, we have 10 people that do it. Like 2 teams.
We used to.
We have the right and the left side. Yeah. And it still works because we're, I guess, more organized in that fashion. But if we did have, the opponents that we've been wanting, I feel like it would probably get to that point that you guys are at.
Yeah, like no like disrespect to the guys that are, well, I mean, there is disrespect to the guys exploiting, but I mean, them, like when they stopped exploiting, they were still good. They're still good players. You know what I mean? They're still pushing hard, and they're hardly using Siege, and they're like annihilating us. So
yeah,
we needed to do something, and then when we switched to that, we're like, okay, this is working way better. We're getting more, like half of their team wiped. We're getting more value out of this. So we just through testing. We've been doing wars basically every day since launch.
Yeah.
Except till recently, we're all kind of having a little break right now. But yeah, we'll be back into it and attacking it anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's definitely strange. What are you expecting, or what would you like to see that you haven't heard of that to come in the not so distant future? Because there are a lot of things with the game at the moment that can be touched on that would be really good to implement into the game and give it more life and like bring people that are starting to have a break now back to the game.
You know, I'm just gonna say it for all the trolls that keep posting it. Mounts. No, I'm just kidding.
No way. I was going to be like, no way. It doesn't need it.
No.
It doesn't need it.
I don't think the game specifically needs mounts.
No.
I think it's more of like an aesthetic thing or just like a personalization thing.
Well, everyone was complaining, but then when you're at 60, that now that Outpost Rush is out and Azoth isn't even a problem anymore. As I said, there's so many things. Your dungeons give you Azoth. Outpost Rush gives you Azoth. War gives you Azoth. Every single level 60 activity that you do is giving you a shitload of Azoth. Unless you're teleporting absolutely everywhere like a madman, then you're not going to have an Azoth issue. And if you do, you play one Outpost Rush game, and then you're straight back up nearly to like half the cap. Like half the time, you know, you get like 300 Azoth or something. So don't complain. What I've said previously I would like to see is like, if you could, there could be some events that happen out in the world. Because at the moment, there's nothing. The bare bones, open world PvP has kind of died since Outpost Rush came out. And that's where I love to play. And it's like, I'm struggling to find people and I can't do content on that. Because when I do find people, they're either doing elite chest runs with 70 other people. Or like, you know, they're just a leveler. And I'm not going to go kill a level 30 and be like, yeah, I'm having fun. I did it. I killed him.
Just camp the lower zones.
Yeah. I'm not going to do that. But yeah, I thought like bringing kind of like PvP missions that require you to escort like a cart from A to B, and you have to stay within that zone. But then obviously all the other guys can get that same one as well and have to come to where the cart is at the time. It's like a little skirmish out in the open world. Like it may not be that many people, but yeah.
Yeah, and I think that makes complete sense just with the, settlement. Like maybe it's something that is like a rare material for the company to get. You know, like something similar to like, what was it? Was it Red Dead Redemption? I think had a similar thing where you would like queue up for something and then you could get, you know, attacked by other people or other, you know, people on the server. So I think that could be interesting.
And then once it gets to the end, you could just get a random like material reward. It doesn't even have to be gold. It could be like you got some iron would be like the most general one you would get, and it wouldn't be much, but you get it because you got that cart from A to B and you were the ones that had it in the end. And anyone that was participating would get like a reward based off how much they participated. And I think that would be awesome. Like just little events like that happening around the world will bring life back to the entire community, I think.
Yeah, and they've addressed a little bit of it. They've addressed the settlement claims now with PvP, right? They have like a fort takeover mission where you have to go out and, you know,
take the fort of a settlement.
Yeah, that or the encampment. There's like a chest that you grab or something, and then you bring it back for the faction missions.
That would be awesome.
And like that stuff is kind of cool. But I think we'll see, especially with this next update, we'll see a lot more people just, you know, passively going PvP just because of the boost.
Well, yeah, because I think you get the 10%. What is it now? You get the 10%. You get 10% EXP.
I don't remember the specifics. Yeah.
And the resources or something like that. You get a little bit more.
Yeah, it's like a base boost to, you know, luck basically.
You get
like
something like the that. Luck. I don't know how much it is. I'm not going to say 10% because that's crazy. That's like a whole gear set. But it would be like, I don't know. So everyone's going to be doing that. But again, like you still don't see anyone out in the open world, not on my server anyway, that's flagged up. And if they are, they're with like 70 other dudes. Doing elite chess.
Yeah, and going into like Zergs, dude, like I have been throwing this idea around, and I mean, you were just talking about playing RuneScape, but like, why isn't there zones or like just areas where it's multi versus single target? I feel like that would be kind of interesting. You know,
what forcing do you mean?
People, like different territories. You know,
this is where the PvEers will cry a river. That's the problem. Exactly. That's the problem, and they're the majority. Like they are the majority. There is way more PvE players than there are PvP. That's a known fact. And the reason that they won't do that is because they feel they're being locked out of content. And my argument to that has always been that they're like, oh, you know, you don't need incentives, they say. You don't need incentives. Like, there shouldn't be any incentives for PvP because where's my incentives? I'm like, your incentives are that you have dungeons that give you some of the best gear in the game. You have the PvE world bosses that give you some of the best shit in the game. Like, we still need to do PvE and we still need to do crafting. Like, as a PvP player solidly, like, that's all I am really. Besides in RuneScape because, you know, it is just what it is. But I'm solely PvP 9 times out of 10. Like, I don't want to really do any content besides dungeons outside of PvP because I just don't enjoy it, right? I do enjoy crafting in this game because it's very different. I like the way they've done it and it makes you feel more rewarded, but I would much rather be in an outpost rush game dominating people, right? Where is my incentive? Like, you know what I mean? I still have to go and do dungeons to go get some of the best 600 legendaries that drop. I still have to go out and do my watermark, which is PvE content as well. I still have to do crafting and go gather myself, which is all PvE content. Like, I have no option in PvP to be able to get those things. So, PvE have all the incentives in the world, but I feel like they're blinded by the fact that they've had this since day one of MMOs. They've always had something for them, and they just want something different to what they already get. But look at PvP. What do we get? You get Outpost Rush, which gives you a chance at getting a 600 legendary piece of gear. Whether or not that's a glitch or not, at the moment, I don't know. But no matter your watermark, you can get a 600 legendary out of those chests, from what I've seen.
Solid.
But it's very low chance. Like, I'm saving 100 right now to test that.
I didn't even know that. That's fucking
so people are getting
crazy.
Like 600 legendaries that are just random. They're a named item, but they don't seem to be, the stats don't line up. So I don't think they're a named item. They just got the name of that item and then they just have random stuff on them. That's basically the only incentive we have to PvP. And it's okay gold, but there are many PvE things that are way better to earn gold than our post rush. Like, in an hour, I can get 1500 to 2k gold depending on like what gold making method I do on my server. And in our post rush, you get 300 gold if you win. And if you lose, it's probably, and you don't participate too much, about 200 gold. So realistically, there's no incentive to PvP besides the fact that you want to kill somebody.
Right. Well, and like the reason I brought up the single versus multi is like since we're talking about RuneScape, you know, as you go through your leveling, you get benefits to that, right? You get the mining area, you get, you know, other things only those levels that
it's high risk, high reward. That's what it is. It's like you go out there, there's more of this material, but you have to be flagged. You know what I mean? But as I said, they will cry about it, but I think introducing something like that is a great idea.
Yeah, and I think it's almost necessary for the market not to be as screwy as it is now. You know, because like high level gear or high level materials are just abundant. It's ridiculous how many. Like even for our server, and we're low pop. I cannot imagine what it is on higher population servers. It's probably like pennies. Like,
but they would have to introduce, I think, a single target, like a multi-zones and single target zones, because to prevent the zerging, like what happens in RuneScape, they'll bait you to a multi-zone and then just 100 people will log in on you. So it needs to be single like combat zones where some of these materials are, so then it prevents people zerging or just camping a node with like 10 guys there. You know what I mean? Like preventing that's all they need to do. And then it would be fantastic. I think that would be absolutely fantastic. And even have missions, maybe not PvP missions or PvE missions. Maybe you add some missions called like high risk missions or we'll say wilderness missions, right?
Yeah,
that you can go out there, get more of a reward, but if you die, same thing, you lose them. But maybe there's something else involved that gives you that bonus for doing that. And then it encourages people to PvP that didn't and experience that. Or if you don't want to do that, then you miss out on the reward. It's simple as that.
Exactly. Yeah. And then there's those areas like, you know, the mining guild or whatever that are just strictly PvE. You don't have to be PvP.
That's right.
Like you can have the
node
or whatever.
Yeah.
But it's, you know, very exactly.
Yeah.
It's just
it's
less.
Like one node there, but there's 3 out in the high risk area. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, no, I agree. And considering like they've got similar servers to RuneScape as well, where their player cap isn't that high. Like it's only 2,500 people on a server at the moment. That's not many people, man. You come across the same people a lot. You know who's a troll, you know who isn't, you know who's good, who's bad. And like having those areas isn't going to be as detrimental, especially when they open the map up at the north side, that northwest side.
Yeah.
Numbers is going to mean it's going to spread thin people even more. So I don't know what they're planning for that. I'm guessing they're going to do server merges or increase the level, player cap for that situation. But I don't know. But I would like to see that. I think that's a fantastic idea. But I just think there's a lot of retaliation against it, and it's unlikely that it will pass. It
would need to be done very well.
Yeah, it would need to be done in a better way than we've said. But, I mean, there are ways around it. And there would be things that you could, like, as you said, like, bring out 2 things at once. Bring out a PvE thing where it's like, as you said, like a guild for something for them, right? And go, okay, we're bringing out this, but we're also bringing out this for PvP as well.
Yeah.
So then they're not missing out, but they get less resource. It's like, they'll still complain about that, but at least you're getting something. Like you're getting an area to yourself that you could sit there as long as you have, I don't know. As I said, there'd need to be better and harder requirements. Maybe it requires you to complete an achievement that's quite hard. You know what I mean? Even if it's behind an achievement wall. Yeah. It says, okay, it takes you a month to do this achievement, but then once you've done it, you have access to this set area. It forces you to play the content, forces you to go through areas you've already been and collect materials you've already got to be able to complete this achievement, to be able to get into this place.
Yeah.
Or you can ignore it and go.
Yeah. And that alone brings me back to, you know, why legendaries at the moment were pretty much gatekeep. And at the same time, I'm thinking of like other MMOs where you have to do something specific or get a quest line or go to a dungeon, get a specific item that's like, you know, 0.05% or something ridiculous. Yeah. And then that allows you to make the legendary that you really want.
And that's what it makes it feel legendary.
It's crazy. Like legendary to me just feels like an epic. It's just like something that you get by chance.
It's not that low. It's not very low. Well, it is a low chance, but because of the way it is, you can spam it so hard that it's not even that unlikely that you're going to get. You could sit there for a day and get a couple of legendaries.
Oh yeah.
Legendaries should feel legendary. 100%. And they don't.
Yeah.
You can just make them. You can just go, oh, here we go, legendary. So either they bring out something that's above that in the not so distant future, or like the distant future, I don't really mind. At the moment, everyone's going to be decked out in 600 legendaries, I think, in like 6 months.
I mean,
probably less, but I mean, for the casual guy, the market prices will come down. We've already seen it. All prices have come down on gear and stuff, except when there are like patch changes to things that are going to be OP and stuff, then they skyrocket. But I mean, look at the market right now. Like I saw no legendaries up until, I saw some legendaries 2 weeks ago, but not really that many, maybe 1 or 2. And now if you just drop it by gear score and all the armor types, you got shitloads. They're all in there. There's only, as I said, 2,500 people on the server. So it's not many people getting this stuff. So it's easy. And I don't like that.
Yeah. No, I'm so glad that they are still continually like supporting this every single week, giving updates. Even like halfway through the week, they'll be like, oh shit, something's not right. Let's fix it.
Yeah, and I think they're very quick on that.
Just get screwed.
I
think they're amazing at that at the moment.
Everyone's saying, oh, you know, even my company, we're like, oh, they haven't fixed this yet. I'm like, but think about it. We're very hardcore players. We've been playing every day, 10, 15 hours a day since release, and just absolutely slamming it. Of course it feels slow for us, but it's been a month.
Yeah.
It's been 1 month, and they've fixed huge exploits. They've huge game-breaking things that they've fixed. There is still stuff they need to do, but look at how much they've done in such a small period of time.
Right. Well, and with that too, like, I remember playing ESO when it first came out. The amount of bugs in that was unplayable. And the fact that it's still able to be played, you know, 2 weeks out from launch is crazy. It's awesome. It's great that they're still, you know, paying attention, doing the stuff, and actually being like kind of personable on the forums too. Like, this is what we're dealing with.
Quite a lot.
Yeah, and it's not
even on Twitter.
Like the regular, right? It's not like the regular, you know, moderators that are just like, yeah, we're adding it to the list. It's like, no, it's like a heartfelt message or something from the actual moderator that's like, this is what our team is dealing with. Bear with us. We'll get to it. You know, it's like,
yeah, I think they're good in that department, but in some departments, I hate how they respond. Like, they're very brief with what the response is, especially in patch notes going, we have altered, for instance, as an example, I know this isn't true, but we have altered healing by a small margin. What is the small margin? Yeah. You need to be more specific. With patch notes especially. Outside of that, I don't mind how they respond, because obviously they don't want to release anything before they get the patch notes out, and I understand that. But when it comes to going, we have done this by a small margin, I'm like, okay, well, what's the margin? So then we know how good or how bad this margin is going to be. Small margins then might be 15%, and that's a massive reduction to like anything in the game. So you're like, holy crap.
Yeah, no, that's 100% true on the opposite end too. And like, we've even seen that just with the perks, like looking at the tooltips.
Even the tooltips, like, it's like so brief. It's like
completely opposite of what we would think, you know?
Yeah, you're like, wait.
Specifically with Rogue, you know, like finding out that is all crits is ridiculous.
Yeah, but like, it should be in the backstab. But I think that is bugged to a degree. Now, this is my theory. I don't know if this is true, but you know how if you're a great axe guy, you want Rogue 100% because of the crits, right?
Right.
Because your axe swings through the player, it's thinking that it's hitting through the back. Same with Rapier. Because you poke and you poke through the player, it's still registering as a back hit because you're hitting that back hitbox. Because the hitboxes in this game are fucking amazing, I'll say. Excuse my French. But like, I can just throw a fireball, like not a fireball, but my light attacks with a fire staff or heavy attack, and if they like dodge like this and it goes past their head, it will just pass their head. It's not going to hit any hitbox, nothing. I think the hitboxes are great, but how they register is bad. So that's why backstab's doing 100%, because it doesn't know that you're facing the player. I don't think it nullifies. There's no like wall there, like invisible wall going, okay, if he's facing this direction and he hits, it's not a backstab.
Yeah, well, that's an interesting thing too. I hadn't specifically thought about that. The thing that the reason I was like, okay, backstabs or crits is because when you go on the perk list, maybe, you know, most of the time you'll have a perk that doesn't stack with another.
That's right.
But in this instance, it seemed like Rogue and Vicious were the same thing, and that was the reason that you couldn't have two on the same weapon. You know,
it has because the same the coding sort of was effect.
Like it's aligned on the same.
It's in
point.
the same category, sort of thing.
Right. Yeah. Well, shit, man. I mean, I've been trying to keep up with a lot of the stuff that you've been doing. Like I've been waiting for another PvP video, trying to see what you've been up to. Have you been doing the bow spear? Or sorry, bow spear.
I haven't played bow spear since release at the moment. I've been leveling things up, but only because there's been so many changes with Mage. I've been trying to do that as well. I haven't posted in 13 days. This is the longest I have not posted, but I went away, so I had a small little getaway as well. So originally this wouldn't happen.
I'm on the same page. I have not posted in a while, and I'm like,
and I need to. So this will come out, and then I've obviously got my what I'm testing at the moment is how chests work. Is it better to hoard your chests or not to hoard your chests? Because I don't know whether or not it's giving you a chest, and then the watermark of that chest is based off your watermark at the time, the time you receive the chest, or is it based off the watermark you have when you open the chest? So I'm getting 100 chests, 30 of which have already been at very low watermark because my watermark's quite low still. I'm going to grind out over my streams over the next week or so the 100 chests, and then I'll open them all, and if they all are higher, well, I'll grind watermark after I get the 100 to higher, so then it's a significant margin. I'm only at like 540 something, 545, something quite low. So I'll get up to like 560, 570, right? I'll grind that out as well, and then I'll open them all, and if I get any that are lower, like if I get within those 30 that are lower, then I know that that chest was dependent on my watermark at the time, or if it's dependent on your watermark that you currently have and when you open it. So that's what I'm working on. But that takes time.
Right. And that's a sick idea, because it's like, if that is the case,
then hoarding them would be better.
A bunch of people hoarding them.
Yeah, exactly. Like, and I've got corrupted chests as well. I'm trying to get 100 mages, 100 miners. I've got 100 miners already. Trying to go for 100 mages to see if they're different. Because Outpost Rush has a chance of giving you those 600 legendary pieces where the portals don't seem to. Like, I've never seen anyone go, oh my god, I got this from a portal chest. I've never seen that happen, but with Outpost Rush, it has. Whether or not that's intended or not, I do not know, but there may be a difference. Also, there are the minor chests from portals sometimes. So you got a stack, for instance, right? You got 40 of them. But then one will separate itself from the stack, and you can't stack it with it. So I'm thinking, I know this is very theory crafty of me, that the rarity of this one is different. Hence why it thinks it's different. Or it could just solely be a bug and it just like will not stack with that. But they will stack together. So every 20 or so, I'll get one that goes over, like to another stack. And I'm like, I wonder why that is. It's still a minor chest of minor portal chest. So why can't I stack them together? Is it a rarity difference? Is it like a material difference that you receive? Or is it just me overthinking things?
Yeah. I mean, I think the thing that you could look at too is what zone is it from, dude? Because it might be dependent on.
I farm portals in the same zone all the time.
Okay.
So I'm generally an even scale. So, and even when I have changed, when even scale's been bugged, because sometimes it's bugged and they don't spawn back for whatever reason, and we go to Reekwater, my Reekwater ones still stack onto those two stacks. Those two stacks, whether or not it's one of the bugged ones or if it's the normal one. So I'm going to look into that as well and see what happens.
Nice.
Just compare, like, you get way less of those ones that don't stack. That's why I'm like, is it a chance? Like, is it a small chance?
Right.
Because if you were just opening them all, you would never notice this.
I maybe have seen it once. Now that you're like telling me that they do,
does.
But at the same time, I'm like, it's just a chest. Like I didn't actually pay attention to it.
Exactly. So like people are just opening them and going whatever, and then because it may be a different one and they don't have another chest on them, it's not even. They're not even seeing the difference. So we'll see. Yeah. But I haven't been doing much PvP videos because open world PvP is dead. Like, it's really dead for me. So it's been really sad. And Outpost Rush, I can only do so much. Like, I'm not going to just keep posting Outpost Rush. Like, you'll get bored of that. Unless I have an absolutely amazing game.
Monstrous
game. But that happens all the time. So it's like, does it outweigh the one that I just did? You know?
Yeah. Well, and it's the same thing that we talked about too. It feels more Zergy than actual like strategy in a way at this point.
And I go full glass cannon for wars and for Outpost Rush because eyes are off me. It's not a 1v1. If it was a 1v1 in open world, very different. Because of the changes, I would go 50-50 con intelligence because you'll just die. Otherwise, you're dead. You're dead. But I mean, it's changed the game a bit, but because of open world PvP not being much of a thing anymore, it kind of sucks for me. So
yeah. No, I hope this next update does it, because it's like it has enough into it, I think, to at least tempt people to go out.
Well, Void Gauntlet's coming, and I want to do open world PvP with it. I would like to showcase more weaponry. But I'm going to have to do that in Outpost Rush until open PvP is a huge problem. Open world PvP is a huge problem for me. And I think they need to bring something to the table to encourage people to go outside and do stuff. A lot of people want arenas as well, but then again, that takes, like, I do too, it's still taking away from open world PvP because they're instanced. They're not out there.
Right.
You know, so it's a double-edged sword, really. Like, I want it, but I don't want it. You know, I want arenas, but I don't want arenas.
Exactly. So, like, arenas should be the third step. You know, we're just getting the next one to open world, see how it goes.
Yes.
And then if it's good enough, you know, then that's when it is supposed to be arena time. I don't think, because Outpost exists, I don't think arenas necessarily need to be
don't think they
at
do.
the moment.
I think they need pre-made, separate Outpost rush games that are ranked.
Yes.
Then
that's a
you would
fantastic
have
idea.
You would have a team of all your company that you could run into. You get an MMR or a score or whatever based off your win. And then you go up in the ranks against harder and harder players. It's a separate queue to the normal one, so then you don't go into pre-made and then you just absolutely destroy all the casual people. Right. But it gives you that option. And then, as I said, it's going to be the same amount of people doing Outpost Rush, but just for a longer period of time. Maybe give them some rewards for each rank. Give them some rewards for being at a certain title, getting to a certain distance. Maybe reward them with, I don't know, a cosmetic item. I don't know.
Right.
But
something. Anything. You know, like, and that's the thing that I really want them to do as well. Like, I was joking completely on the mounts. Like, obviously we talked through that. Yeah. But it's that personalization that people love. You know, the store's great at the moment, but everyone's wearing the same shit. You know? So if it's like, if a specific achievement is attached to it, it'll have more weight
and more value.
Be chased. Yeah.
Well, okay. So there was a thing. I know you spoke about mounts and that I advocate against it, but there was something that someone said that I thought was interesting, and I don't know how they'd implement it, but if they could, it would be really cool.
Okay.
Imagine, having mounts, very limited, right? Very limited mounts. But they go either just slower or equal to your walk speed, but are able to carry more storage with you. So like a donkey, right? A donkey at 90% run speed. So you're going slow as shit. You're like, come on, man. But you can go out and farm more resources, bring it back. Yeah. But I don't know how that would work with PvP. So if you die, where would the donkey go? If the donkey dies, do you lose all your shit? But the intricacies can be worked out over time. And I think like a certain system, like if the donkey dies, you lose, I don't know, 60% of your yield. And it drops. Right. And then 5% of that 60% yield goes to the player that killed them. So then it's, one, it's helping with inflation because you're reducing the amount of resources coming into the game if they get killed. And two, the person's getting rewarded for trying to seek out those players that are trying to like do those runs. And maybe, for instance, your storage space and your yield of like resources is higher by taking that risk. Similar to that like wilderness idea we had earlier, but with this donkey.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
If that was fine, in that aspect, it's fine because they're not getting an advantage in any way, besides the fact of storage.
Yep. Yeah, and that would make for some sick content, to be honest. Yeah. Like, killed this guy with 10,000 or some shit, you know, like
10,000 ore, you get 5% of it out. It's still amazing for you.
Yeah.
And it's great.
100%.
And as I said, maybe, seeming you said you wanted some sort of PvP wall, maybe you have to be flagged to be able to use the donkey. You know what I mean?
100%.
And then boom, it's like you've got that risk. The whole world is your oyster. You don't have to be in a specific zone. PvEers aren't going to be like, oh, I can't go check out that zone because I don't want a PvP. They can do this, but they have to be flagged.
And everyone knows the routes at this point too. Yeah. So it's like, just camp in a bush, see what happens.
Yeah, exactly right. And I think that the idea they're bringing, I love that they're bringing the 10% speed on paths. Because a lot more people will be using paths now and you'll be able to see them instead of them going through all this other place. I think that's a great idea. I think that really livens things up as well.
Yeah, I feel like they had that in an earlier testing phase too, and they took it out.
I don't remember. Where they talked about it. I didn't see it, but
yeah,
I only played.
Yeah, no, that's gonna be awesome.
From all the betas, so every beta that was played, I was there, and then into launch. Yeah, I really didn't like the game back early stages. Like I wasn't gonna play. Yeah. Like as soon as they removed PvP at full loot drops, I was like, nope, I'm out. Like I'm out of here. Yeah. It's all PvE. It's all the same shit. Crafting had no value at the time. And now I think crafting is like more than ever. Like whoever's crafted all the way up to 200, you're a legend because you're getting money right now. I'm telling you, you got some serious shit going down.
Oh yeah. I mean, like especially with this next patch that's coming up, weaponsmithing or all like a bunch of the other ones.
Yeah.
Like, if you haven't done those yet,
I haven't.
do them. Like
I'm screwed. I'm screwed. I'm not gonna earn money. No money for me. I was
it like
to
4 times or whatever? It's ridiculous.
What? 4 times for what?
The XP. I think it was like 74,000. I think Damone made a video on it, but it was like 74,000 to 180. I might be over exaggerating, but it's like ridiculous.
It's a lot of XP.
How much more?
Yeah.
Which I mean, it's good. You know, it's good to bring more longevity, but I think definitely. Like we've talked about, they need more stuff to it.
They need more stuff. That's all they need. All they need is more content. Yep. And it doesn't have to be a big piece of content. It just has to be something. No. As I said, I'm entertained at the moment, but I am slowly dwindling away because I'm getting burnt out. Like I'm doing the same thing over and over now. And it's like, yeah, I could go out and get my skills up and yeah, I could get my weapon smithing up, but for what reason? I can just farm gold and get that weapon on my own anyway. I've got people that craft for me in the company. So it's like, as long as I have the materials or the gold, they'll do it for me. So I'm kind of getting around that in a sense. But I mean, if I was on my own, I would be grinding those things and I probably would be done with them already, you know? So yeah.
Exactly.
There you go. Well, we are almost at an hour mark, so we should probably finish up here. But it has been awesome talking to you, and it has been like all the updates coming I'm really excited about. So maybe in future we'll speak again and
definitely
like just go over what the patches is and see the bugs that come with the Void Gauntlet. See the manipulations, the bugs, the exploits. I'm really looking forward to getting my ass kicked in walls by these exploits. So
for real, I'm waiting to get demolished.
Oh yeah,
just put in my place.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. But Void Gauntlet, exciting stuff. Pathing, exciting stuff. But yeah, I think it's going to be all good. Future is bright if they do it right.
Oh yeah.
I should have that as a slogan. The future is bright if they do it right. Okay. Well, anyway, I'll see you in the next one, I guess. Great talking to you.
For sure, man.